Alright, come join Kyle, John and David as they go through what's on the playlist, find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest, in and out points, no celebs and the gossip, back in time where we talk about the big M's coming attractions, what the cue, quick checks, who'll be laughing, you abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast we can hear all latest in television, entertainment news with somebody else with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that John is our Beetlejuice, and Dave is our Joker, and they're all invited to my Squid Game.
Oh no.
My second edition Squid Game.
It's a trap. I know what you're doing with that. I was really worried you were going to say it another time. We would all be the titular Beetlejuice. It's been said twice. Sorry, John. We can't say it any more times on the podcast tonight. That is it. Yeah, we're going to be talking about all those different movies that we alluded to there. Plus, maybe preview a TV show with Squid Game coming out later this year. So much to do, so much to catch up on tonight. We got to get to this first segment. John, what is it?
In and Out Points.
In or the out. In or the out. In, out.
Yes, it is In and Out Points. Our last episode, feels like forever ago, we recapped the summer box office. And tonight's episode, we got some In and Out Points about the movies. And we're going to review some of the fall movies that came out and with some quick checks. So a little bit of a movie edition tonight with some TV exceptions here and there. The first In and Out point we're going to talk about is about upgrading the theater experience. Now, the 8 biggest theater chains in the US and Canada announced they plan to invest $2.2 billion to modernize and upgrade more than 21,000 screens over the next 3 years. The investment will cover everything from improved sound and projection to upgrading the dining experience. You excited, John? He seems hesitant there.
I'm in for better projectors, better screens, better seats specifically, better audio. I don't know if I'm going to the theaters to eat a meal. Although that seems to work for Alamo in some cases.
Almo's good with that.
I don't know if I'm going to the theater to have drinks, although again, it seems like Alamo does okay with that. And what else is there?
Well, that's where they're upgrading, John, because that's not all. That's not. You think this is an In and Out point of it? No, there has to be more to it to qualify as an In and Out point. As theater, this is a direct quote from this Variety article. Quote, as theater owners work to keep movie-going top of mind for audiences, some theater owners have been adding attractions like pickleball and zip lines in addition to upgrading their auditoriums.
You imagine you're sitting down to watch a movie and the screen just blocked by a shadow as someone zip lines from their rear
Specifically like
to the front.
Tim Robinson just doing it over and over again.
Man.
He came only for the zip line. I love this thing. As theater owners work to keep movie going top of mind for audiences, some theater owners have been adding attractions. Stop right there. The movie is the attraction.
Yeah.
The movie is what you're going to. As this meme of Nicole Kidman from Twitter has pointed out, we come to AMC theaters to play pickleball, to go to the zip line, and sometimes watch a movie.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You have to make it more of like an experience, but like maybe just make the movie experience better, maybe a little bit cheaper. Because if you're installing all this like zip lines and pickleball and stuff, I'm sure tickets are gonna go up. Just if you make it a little bit cheaper for people to go and not have to spend $50 on a large popcorn, it's like, okay, maybe it's worth it.
It's just funny that all of the attractions would be for profit that would directly go to the theater rather than anything to do with the movie. You know what I mean? So that's what this headline just reminds me of. It reminds me of how bad the theaters are hurting. It's insane. But I'm agree with John. I would go for all the projection, the sound, all of that. But I think the reality of the ticket prices is it's so high that you have to treat it almost as like a show, as a concert, and that's where the food gets involved. I think that's why it's so much more popular, is because with the price of the ticket, people want to make it a whole evening rather than it just used to be like part of an evening and you'd go to dinner elsewhere, you know?
Because if you're already getting a babysitter for 2 hours, and some of these movies are 3 hours, you might as well just, get them for a half a day and just spend the whole day
Yeah.
at the movies, because it's like,
But wait, there's AMC daycare. And while you zip line, you can set the kids up
Well,
at AMC daycare.
I'll tell you what. If they wanted to do one theater for children's shows and put some of this in,
I saw a picture of this online where there's like a sensory type theater where they have the seats, and then in the front there's kind of like whatever, like a playpen of different, dollhouse and blocks and all this other stuff that, I mean, and I don't know if like the lights fully go down, so it's like, oh, the kid can, play a little bit, look up. Like, I don't know exactly. It sounds like chaos, utter chaos, and I would not want that at all. But
again,
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
for kids and the adults are going in fully aware that, all right, I'm going to end up watching this movie and the kid's going to play in the jungle gym like they play on their iPads while they watch shows or whatever. Like, I'm guilty of splitting my attention too. But, like, that makes sense to me, where you have a children's movie shown and you have that stuff available for children to kind of do what they want while they watch.
Yeah. I could see these things being like little extras, it's like, oh, like before the movie, like you get there early, or you don't want to sit through 30 minutes of trailers. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah, you play a game of pickleball or something, just to pass the time before your showtime. But like, yeah, like I think it's just like fix the experience what it is now. Like as you said, get better seats. Maybe get better food, or if you're going to charge so much for food, obviously that money is the money that the theaters are able to keep versus the actual movies. But like Seneca_TTV in the chat, it's like $20 for a cocktail at my local Harkins, and it's watered down. And it's like, I mean, then again, New York City. I mean, that sounds like a bargain here. But
Yeah, right.
yeah, and for most places, it's like if you're gonna charge me $20 for a large popcorn, don't have it be stale old popcorn. Like, give me something a little extra. Make it at least hot and fresh. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But well, speaking of popcorn, AMC Theaters has found, a lot of success with their over-the-top popcorn buckets. They finally put two things that naturally go together like peanut butter and jelly. I can't believe they haven't thought of this before. Ancient Roman battles and augmented reality. All right, so Gladiator 2 is coming out later this month. So to celebrate, AMC Theaters has a Popcorn AR-ena. AR-ena, get it? AR-ena bucket. That's the name of it.
Oh god.
AR-ena bucket that features a QR code that activates an augmented reality gladiator battle. We got a video of this here. You can check out as we're talking about it. So get the popcorn bucket, and there's a QR code, and you can scan the QR code, and you can watch, I guess, gladiators battle in the bucket. Cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Will they like jump off the popcorn kernels that are left over down there?
That's what I'm getting. Like in this video, they don't show the popcorn, so I
Also-
don't know. Like, does it have to be flat? Does it have to be an empty bucket? Like, or can the popcorn get involved? Can it be jump on it? You slip on the butter? Like, what's going on with this augmented reality?
Yeah. Also, those graphics look like PC 98. Like the way they were moving, it was insane.
It probably has to render on a majority of phones, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But yes, they don't look like
That's
they're,
hilarious.
But like, do people need more reasons to have their phones out during movies?
No.
Like, what are we
No.
doing?
You know what?
Watch the actual gladiator battle on the screen.
And in fact, when I was watching this silly idea, I was coming up with a great idea on my own, which I was like, what more could AMC do with their buckets? I want a popcorn launcher, like a t-shirt cannon. I wanted to be able to launch into my mouth. So a little, I don't know, little springboard at the end.
like
Trying to get it into the mouth.
Oh, What's that show at Disney with the 4D where they like spray the air under the seats?
They have
What
so
if you
many,
just
like
have
the
a little
Bugs Life
popcorn can?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you just have
Yeah.
a little popcorn cannon in front of you? You could like,
Popcorn
you know,
cannon.
pay $1 in the app and it goes and gives you a good
Yeah.
popcorn spritz and
Almost like those old bank tubes where it sucked
Yeah.
instead it shoots it
Yeah.
out into your
Just
mouth.
in your seat, and you have it above you, and then you just open your mouth, and
Yeah.
it rains on you, and then like maybe they squirt the butter at the same time, and it's like a in your face experience. It all just, but
Oh my God.
oh, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about different things about eating and food and stuff. That leads to the next in and out point. See how they're all connected here?
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get in on this sensory experience, but if this is all making you hungry, A24 will add in some dessert to the mix with some blueberry pie, or at the very least, the smell of it. So for this upcoming Hugh Grant horror film Heretic, certain movie theaters will smell like blueberry during a pivotal scene in the film. So I guess some light spoilers ahead, but this was all shown in the trailer. But in the film, there's two young missionaries, and they tell Hugh Grant's Mr. Reed character that they're not allowed to enter this house because without another person present, another woman present. And Mr. Reed assures them that, well, his wife's in the kitchen baking a blueberry pie. Well, as the missionaries discuss the importance of, their religion, and Mr. Reed, he goes into the kitchen to check on the pie. Once he's in the other room, the young women spot a blueberry-scented candle. And then they're leading them to the realization that there is no pie, there is no wife. This guy is up to no good. So we got like some like old school like smell-o-vision, I guess.
Yeah.
you remember, it is a little off topic, but not really. Remember that Rugrats movie with the scratch and sniff cards? Why couldn't they just do that instead of the whole theater? Although I guess maybe it's more immersive in the whole theater.
More immersive. Because like you don't have to like stop, scratch, it's like it just like starts maybe coming in. I don't know, like if they have a control, it starts slow, and like it seems like it's taking place at like advanced screenings at Alamo Drafthouse. That's where they're doing this. It's like why stop at the smell? Like give the audience maybe, I mean, I guess I was gonna say give the audience a bit of like a slice of blueberry pie, but then I guess does that go against the movie because there is no pie in the movie?
No pie.
Yeah.
It's just the smell of it. But they should at least put it on their menus, who has like, because when you go to a movie theater, you smell the popcorn. It's like, oh, I gotta get the popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like with this, it's like, oh, they got pie. I might as well get a slice of pie while I'm here. Like I'm craving pie for some reason.
If they're baking the pie, they could just blow that scent in. They don't even have to like use a machine.
Yeah.
And just get a box fan.
I'm just thinking blueberry pie is like my least favorite.
Oh, I love blueberry pie.
Really?
Pie's
Oh,
great.
my God.
Oh, it's really good.
What?
We got
It's
2
all
votes
sugar,
for blueberry
but
pie right here.
No.
Seneca in the chat. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
No.
Right in the comments below.
See, I love like give me the fruit sugar pies. Whatever, cherry pie.
Pies, cobblers, all that.
Yeah.
All that.
Dude, you guys are so wrong, man.
I don't know.
You're so wrong.
We'll see.
But this just reminds me of Dave, when we went and saw A24's Hereditary, right? That's A24, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that guy, the scariest part of the movie was just some random dude who was about 90 years old with his cane, just flop, flop, flop.
He literally took about 5 to 6 minutes to go like up the stairs, and then when he got up there, I feel like he immediately like went back down.
Yeah. It was weird.
So like for like 10,
it was
15
like a marketing
minutes,
campaign, I swear.
Yeah, like is this some kind of megalopolis, like interactive, like person in the theater with the movie? Like what is going on here?
Yeah, it was strange.
Well, it looks like we're split. I mean, Seneca in the chat. I like pumpkin pie, but fruit pies are too much. Not a pie person. So it's 2-2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look at that.
D Bridger 2000. Are you here tonight? We need you. We need you to break this tie. Okay. All right. So, all right. That's enough of this. I'm craving some pie. John, you're invited to come over and have a slice. All right. Well, we've been talking about movies. Let's take a break for a bit. Let's talk about some TV. In order to talk about it, let's look at the coming attractions.
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
All right, so it's right around the corner. It's coming out right around Christmas time. Nothing says feel good Christmas like Squid Game Season 2. Squid Game is finally back. The trailer came out this week, the little teaser trailer for the second season. We all saw it. Kyle, start me off. What did you think of the trailer for Squid Game season 2?
Um, it just felt like, even from the trailer, like we're dropping right back into the same old world, and I think we're just gonna ride it out and run it back. It's gonna be like a Hangover 2 situation,
Oh
maybe.
no.
I don't know. But what also cracks me up is the dude has definitely looked better, I think, than the first time around. So that's gonna
Well, he went through some
he
mess. He
We
went
went
through
Yeah.
some
through
mess.
stuff.
yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how they're gonna work it out. I didn't see anything like new. It was like, it seemed like he was just
Mhm.
found out. Like, it looked like down the line. So unless they kind of explain the process of going back in and give us a little more about, like, once he's caught or once he's found out, I don't know. I don't know if I just want to go for round 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a lot of questions with this because even like I think the main thing is just like why is he even in there again? Like
Yeah.
it's I'm sure there was something I don't really remember because it's been so long, but it's like oh
Mhm.
I think he was going back into like infiltrate and stop this thing, but it's like I feel like you could do more good from the outside than actually in the game that's like life and
Yeah.
death, and like you would but maybe like the game because also like why would the game creators even let you back in unless it's like hey 456 shy here, maybe we don't have to pay up this last prize winnings to him and we can like something like that, but
Mhm.
Maybe he's back in debt again.
I
We don't know how
Maybe.
long it's been, do we, since the last one?
because there is something Seneca points out in the chat like the end of the season 1 he had the red hair, he was going off I think
Yeah.
to visit his kid I think or
Mhm.
something, and it's like well clearly he doesn't have that in the poster. Yeah, maybe there's some time that's gone by. I don't know, but like that's where I'm torn just like you guys with this where we don't really see anything new in this really. Like you got of
Mhm.
course you're gonna get green red light green light, that's like I feel like that's like a classic, it has to start, that's the thing that really like caught on from season 1.
Mm.
But I think I saw like the glass floor in this trailer real quick, and maybe they're keeping them close to their vest kind of thing, but it's like I want some new stuff.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't want to just do a rehash again of it. At least they added an element of like voting, which might be interesting as like
Mm.
a Survivor reality fan, like seeing how like the vote and it's different sides and alliances and stuff like that. And
And it seems like
speaking,
it's
yeah,
public because they're wearing the
yeah,
checker X on there.
exactly. Exactly. Speaking of deadly votes and, very consequential ones, make sure to do that tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's all I'll say on that. But I don't know, John, I cut you off a little bit here. Like, what are your thoughts on this second season?
It's all good. I definitely agree. There really wasn't anything new to bite onto, unfortunately. My biggest concern is, can lightning strike twice? Are they gonna thread that needle of what made the first show excellent versus keeping it fresh for a second season? I think what made the first season excellent was not only were all the games different and you had to figure out how that worked every time and there was a lot of tension it was building, but you also had the non-game stuff which was also being kind of explored. And I think that this season will have no problem exploring more of that background, what's happening without the game. I worry that it's going to do that and the games are going to suffer and you're going to have either repeated games or not as good games, and you're going to kind of almost split your season, have one half of it be okay, one half of it be kind of like, all right, we already saw these games. That's my biggest fear. If they can keep the games fresh, if they can keep the same feel, I hope they bring the same guy back to do the music. The music was fantastic in the first season. I think they'll be at least all right, but yeah, it's really going to depend on how they flesh out that backstory, the secondary story, the B story, whatever you want to call it, and how good they can think up of new games and integrate them together. Because now we have insider info about, from seeing the first season of that, it's a competition and there's people behind it, and how is that going to tie in and affect and taint or our perception of it? We'll have to see.
And also, does our main character here kind of have like this like plot armor? Like, is he really gonna die? Like, he's our like vessel into this. Like, unless they do something crazy and it's like a spoiler for Scream, like Drew Barrymore situation where he's like out the first game or something. But like, no, of course not. I think like we're following him back into this. And we're rooting for him. Like, he's our main person, our carryover from season one. Like, it's like the Hunger Games situation where I feel like, like by like the fourth Hunger Games film, it's not really about a Hunger Games anymore. It's this other thing. And it's like it's tough because like I feel for the creator because like I don't know the full workings of the deal or whatever, but it's like most things like he probably sold this to Netflix like season one or like and like he got paid up front like they always do. No one knew that this was going to be a global phenomenon. So like did he really get the benefits of that? And I'm sure when they came for like come on season two, they gave him so much money. So like I'm glad he's getting his piggy bank full of money, but like hopefully there was something more there for him. And it sounds like there's like second and a third season and then that's it, at least for now.
Okay.
Like
wow,
so
they actually have plans for a third.
Yeah, so
wow,
there's something maybe going on with that, but yeah, I just need something different. And it was interesting because like I watched the reality version of this, like the reality competition show of Squid Game that they did, and they had a lot of the same games, but they had some other interesting things. They had some voting, they had some they had, like I think one of the games that they feasibly couldn't do in this was like they did like a battleship type thing, like the battleship game and stuff like that. So there's a lot of options I think to really expand this game and world and stuff like that. But I don't know. The really interesting thing we can talk about briefly is season 2 is not the only bit of Squid Game in development at Netflix. Sources are telling Deadline that there's a new English language Squid Game series in the work, with David Fincher coming in to direct it. This is where it's like, I'm really torn on this one.
Yeah.
Why though?
Exactly. First,
Money.
that's the main question.
Yeah.
Money. What do you mean why? It's obvious. Money.
But
Because
I mean, I guess isn't like one of the games in there? Well, I guess the whole thing is specific to that.
we were the bad guys and the
Yeah.
rich guys in robes or whatever was America.
Yeah. So, but I mean, in terms of the games, like,
Yeah.
could it be more relatable to like an English audience? Like they create games that are more, known
The
amongst.
Operation board game.
Yeah. I don't
I don't know.
I don't know. But why? I just why? Yeah, I guess John answered my question. It's all money. I just don't understand why.
I guess the biggest question for me with this is it a reboot or is it like, with a lot of these reality shows, there's, Survivor USA, the one we've been watching for 40 seasons.
Yeah.
There's also Australian Survivor. There's also Survivor in this country. It's like, is this like to expand this world? Is there a Squid Game that's taking place in America? And then is there going to be like an all-star version or something, season 3, like with all the different countries coming together? I don't know what it is, but like, it's like, I don't want the reboot. I don't want red light, green light, the cookie, the this, the that, like the same exact story we got for season 1, because season 1 was great. I don't need to do it again. And I think millions and millions of people who watched Squid Game really enjoyed Squid Game. We don't need to do it again just in English. Like it doesn't, I don't know. But then again, I love David Fincher. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love David Fincher too. I'm curious what like he likes about it so much that he feels like he's got to get into this. This just feels like
What is he adding?
Yeah.
I know it wasn't his choice, but give us Mindhunter season 3.
Yes, for real. Seriously.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see if it, comes true, and we'll definitely probably at least try to find some time to talk about Squid Game season 2 when it drops at the end of the year. But
yeah.
All right. So that's it for TV for a bit. We're going to jump back to movies, and we're going to kind of catch up on some movies that come out in the last few months. Specifically, a lot of them came out in the last month here. In order to talk about them, we're going to just do some quick checks. Quick check! All right. Here we go. We've been teasing it for a while. And here we go. John, you watched Joker Folie.
I did. This is going to be a little weird. Hopefully you'll stick with me because I think that there's 2 levels to this. All right. So first off, watched it. It was on the surface okay. Some of the singing and the dancing was a little cringy at times. Some of it was a little boring. You kind of watch it, you get through it, and you're like, all right, that's what it is. But like an ogre, yeah. After reading some stuff online and seeing what people have been saying about it and mulling it over, I kind of get what they're trying to do, and it relates to the first movie in a way. So if you'll put on your hypothesis cap and give me 2 minutes to think about this. So the first movie, I think, was about how like society isn't really supporting him and they're failing him. But I think the public perception in our world was that, oh, he's turning bad. Yeah, let's go do it. Like, we want to see it. And I think the second movie is a commentary on that. And again, this is a theory I was reading online. It's not all me, and how Lady Gaga's character is the public, and they want to see him be this Joker and kind of go on this, rampage and turn bad. And how he, spoilers, I guess, for the show, how he in the end realizes he's not the Joker. He goes back to being Arthur. He's done, especially after seeing his only friend really say, like, you ruined everything. Like you were, I was scared of you and all that. And so I think the whole thing is a commentary about how people didn't understand the first movie. And so, like, it didn't end the way people wanted it to, because with him, being the Joker and escaping and all that, because that's not what happened. That's not the point they're trying to get across. So I think they were trying to go big with it, and double down, which I don't think worked. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't like it. Like I said, after reading a couple of those reviews of what people think, I kind of get it, but I don't think it achieved what it wanted to do effectively. That makes sense?
That makes sense. It's interesting because there's definitely a podcast episode where we talked about this. I remember not liking the first one almost because of that. Like, and so it's like, and for this movie, when I saw the trailer for this second movie, I was like, you know what? I didn't care for the first one. It left a bad taste in my mouth because of everything you kind of just said, John. But like this second one, they're trying something here. The musical aspect, all right, like they're doing something different. This isn't just Taxi Driver with the Joker. Like, you're doing something different in this film. All right, I'm on board. And then the reviews started coming in, and it was just like, from critics, from fans, like I think I saw both on Rotten Tomatoes. They're both solid 32 for both.
Yep.
It's like, you said the word boring, and that's what I kind of heard, like, across the thing, where it's just like, I saw this one tweet that was like, it's almost like the Seinfeld finale, where it was just like, it's the rehash of the first film in a courtroom, and you have people coming back from the first film like, hey, remember the first film? Like, it's like, okay, but you're making a courtroom drama it's like, what are we doing? And everything I've heard about the behind the scenes of, like, how I guess, like, Todd Phillips was like, and Joaquin Phoenix was like, yeah, every day we would go back to the trailer, we would rip up the pages, and we just like, okay, what are we really doing here today in this scene? It's just like, maybe don't rip up the pages of the script and like go with what you thought was the movie before you spend millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, this film has like some crazy budget compared to the first one. And like, it's not going to, it's been out for over a month, and it's going to go down not only as one of the biggest bombs of 2024, but like one of the biggest like in cinema history because like
Oh man.
the original in 2019 made over $1 billion worldwide, which is wild for any film, but a $55 million R-rated film. That's insane. So reports say, okay, this film needs about 450 million to break even because of the budget and marketing and all that stuff. But pretty much $500 million to break even. And after a month domestically, it is around 60 million. I don't even think that was the opening weekend of the first film.
Yeah.
200 million worldwide. And in its second weekend, it had a record-breaking drop of 81%. Like this thing was like dead on arrival. And I think it's like the critics didn't like it, the fans didn't like it. It's like, so it's like,
Yeah.
who was this movie made
Yeah.
for?
And
Yeah.
I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah.
I don't think that they really effectively got that point across, if that's what they were trying to do. I think, and I've mentioned this before, especially before we even saw this. This either needed to be original music that they composed and all that together that
Yeah.
really fit, or needed to not be a musical at all. And they kind of failed on both of those. And I just think it's crazy that, and I haven't listened to it, but Lady Gaga put out a companion album that she wrote and sung and all that, but it's not in the movie. It's just a companion album that does something with it. Again, I don't know if that could have fit in the movie. I'm not saying that it should have been, but like, if she's writing stuff, why not make it original music? Like they had to play a lot of this music, or I guess get originals, because they're singing. It's not like, I mean, it's a mix of them singing and the original in some cases, but like, you're doing all that work anyway. Make it original, make it good. Like I don't know. It didn't land very well in anything it tried to do, unfortunately. And like I said, with everyone liking that, and kind of rooting not against Arthur, against the Joker, but they want to see him fail. This is not what the second one is. I mean, again, I don't want to really spoil the ending, but like, he's not the Joker at the end. He's not the Joker. So I can understand why it got some bad reviews, especially again, if you don't get that message. And if you do get the message, I mean, again, if that's the message they're trying to put out, I kind of think I get it. I don't think it was really all that great. It was all right. A little too much thinking for what I kind of was expecting out of a Joker movie,
Yeah, it's almost like a little bait and switch. It's just like, yeah, as you said, you hired Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
She's an Oscar and Grammy award-winning songwriter. She didn't write any songs that were in the movie. Come on,
I know,
like,
it's crazy.
What are you doing here?
That is crazy.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but all right. Well, so John, sounds very mixed. You recommend watching this? Wait for streaming? Like what?
I think if you enjoyed the first one because of his fall into the Joker and was rooting for him to get deeper, I wouldn't see this. I would accept the first one as it is and not bother with this. If you are okay with the idea that the message in the first one is not, oh yeah, he's become the Joker, and more society failed him, maybe give it a shot. But again, even ignoring the whole message thing, the singing and dancing was executed all right, but it doesn't cohese into something where I was sitting there being like, oh yeah, this is great, so it's a no to maybe for me to recommend.
All right. Well, let's move to Kyle. Kyle, you got a movie that is streaming. I believe it's on Max.
Yeah.
I saw it too, but I'm gonna let you take this one. What do you got? Trapped.
Yeah, it's a trap. M. Night Shyamalan comes back to treat us with to me, I did not like this movie.
Just a night of bad movies.
No. It's still entertaining. I will say this. It is very entertaining, and I was down with this idea. They're at a concert venue, and heavy police presence is noticed. This father brings his daughter to this concert, and they're trying to find this. We find out they're trying to find this serial killer, and he's at this concert based on a profiler, a profiler basically came up with the profile for him, and he would be at this concert because whatever. We find out later why. Anyways, I'm all down with the concert. I'm all down with this idea that they're trying to get this guy in the concert. It's suspenseful in there. We get out of the concert and it's a mess to me. But so I didn't like it from there. Also, I didn't particularly like anybody's performance, and I like Josh Hartnett. And I just thought it was just like he was trying to do his sociopathic thing, but it wasn't. It didn't work. It did not work. A sociopath would not act like they wouldn't. A sociopath wouldn't even like their daughter. It just was all mixed. It did not work. All right. The lighting was really bad at times, especially in the house scene with the superstar there.
Yeah.
And some of the writing was terrible too. Just how so. Spoiler alert: Josh Hartnett is the serial killer.
Yes.
Okay. And he finds out that the police are there for him essentially because this convenience worker is like, hey, over here, let me tell you about it. It just seems it was so bad, dude.
So M. Night, these last few films here, I've been enjoying watching them because it's always like a fun guessing game. They're entertaining, but you really got to suspend disbelief.
Yeah,
on a lot
it's
of things
insane.
And
the fact that this idea would even exist is insane.
Like John, like this, like pretty much, they figured out there's like this ticket stub that was left at one of like the crime scenes. So they figured out like, okay, he's gonna be at this concert. So this entire concert is a trap for the butcher, which is Josh Hartnett's character.
Yeah.
So, and they know he's going to be there with, probably his daughter, and which he is, and so they're kind of interviewing all these guys. What the question I had was like, sure, there's like a tattoo that they, I guess, know of, but I feel like over the walkie, because he ends up getting the walkie at one point.
Yeah.
They also feel like they had other profiles and other details that wasn't him. It's like, oh, he's a redheaded old guy, like, or he could be this, or he could be this, and it's like. So like what would happen? Maybe I misread that scene, or like I was zoning out or whatever. Like what would actually happen when they question Josh Hartnett? Would be like, "Hey, are you the butcher?"
Yeah.
Like cuz I'm sure
No.
like he at one point he gets a bracelet so it makes it hard to see the tattoo, but it's like I feel like he could have just burnt this guy does crazy stuff throughout the movie. Oh, I
Yeah.
burned my hand. He, actually burns it with some of the cooking oil or something, like I could see something like that. Like what would have the police have said like, "Ugh, is it you? Oh no, it's not. Okay, like you can go." It's like what was the question in this trap that would have gotten him?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it would have been, but like they call him like this like great liar throughout the film. And as you said, like was he? Like the
Yeah.
kid wasn't even buying some of this like this attitude, and like they're like, Dad, is something wrong? Like what's going on here? Like she could suss it out. But yeah, at the end, I guess a quick spoiler at the very end, like the mom, Allison Pill wants to be left alone after all of it, even without her children. But it's like, was this just like another trap, and like the kettle was like the signal to get them to come back? Because like if so, the dialogue was just a trick to us, because it's like it's the profiler and the mom in the room.
Yeah.
Why do you like who's this for? Like,
yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff yet. Like, I don't know. Like I had a lot of fun watching it. There's some moments that are suspenseful, but yeah, it's a serial killer movie where like nobody really dies. And it's like it felt like a bit like cheap, where it's kind of like I really thought after a certain point, like when they're at the house and Lady Raven locked herself in the bathroom and he's yelling outside the door, and then it got quiet. I really thought we are gonna open the door and the family would be dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, they're not. And they're around later. It's just like it just felt like, oh, you're not committing to the bit. Like you're not going full crazy.
We haven't seen the butcher.
Yeah.
Butcher.
But
Yeah. Yeah, I did not. It was still entertaining. I will say I was entertained by it, but it was
Yeah.
not good. I can't say it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if you're going into an M. Night Shyamalan movie, that's kind of the expectation at this point.
Yeah.
You know, it might not always be the best.
I think I also wanted more from like because my wife didn't know the pitch of the movie. So like going into it, it's like yeah, like what's that on his phone? Like what's going on? Like there was like some stuff like leading into it where it's like, oh, that's exciting, but like for me to know that's like, oh, there's yeah, it's a serial killer and this whole concert's a trap to get him.
Mhm,
It's like that kind of like ruined a little bit of it, but that was the pitch, that was the trailer.
mhm.
And then yeah, as you said, kind of like once we leave the concert, like halfway through the film, it's like, oh, like now what? Where are we going? Like
Yeah,
it just felt
yeah,
like we're really. I think it would have been better if we stayed at like the concert maybe or
yeah.
something.
Well,
But
it was definitely just more suspenseful, and there
yeah,
was, yeah. And then after that, it was just like, okay, it's like
yeah,
just like how can we one up ourselves until he's eventually caught? It just did not work.
yeah. But all right, well, I would still say like if you're, I mean, of the two so far, I think check out Trap. I mean, it's streaming, it's free,
Yeah.
you know. But um, one movie I liked, and it's completely different from these two movies, is We Live in Time. Came out last month. It's a rom-com drama from Academy Award nominated director John Crowley, who recently did Brooklyn. Uh, it stars Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. For me, like what sets this film apart from like the rom-com, structure of it all is this actually uses some kind of like non-linear storytelling. Hence the We Live in Time, jumps around a little bit, which I honestly think they could have probably done a little bit more of, especially since our main characters, for various reasons, are in and out of hospitals. It's like, oh, sometimes it's comedic reasons, it's sad, joyful. It's like I think you could have like mixed around some of those things a bit more, because you have this kind of conceit of it jumping around in time, and I think you could do that a bit more than you did. But that adds a little bit more to the classic rom-com structure. But what really the film owes a lot to is Garfield and Florence Pugh. It's just they really lift up the script and like knock it out. It's like you really buy their chemistry, and it points the conflicts between the two, and both are really fearless actors, but specifically like in these parts. And not to compare myself to two of the most attractive and successful actors working in Hollywood, but when my wife and I saw this, we related a lot to this young couple and some of the like life events that they are beginning to experience. So it's kind of like a bit of an emotional journey of both of us watching it. So maybe that influenced me a little bit too, of where
Mm.
these characters are in life, in their relationship, and what's maybe next for them. So I don't know. It's also not just a rom-com. It has parts of like a sports movie a little bit with Florence Pugh's character competing in like this cooking competition. So you got a little bit of that as well. But really it's the chemistry between these two that really is electric. But yeah, that's We Live in Time. Any questions after my TED Talk here?
No, but I mean, you gave a great review of it, and
Okay.
also, I mean, when it comes to this type of movie, their chemistry better be
Yeah.
electric. That's what's selling this
Yeah.
bad boy.
Yeah, I mean with the two, I mean either like I think Andrew Garfield against a paper bag or Florence Pugh, vice versa. I think either one of them could probably make it work. So when you put two of them together, it just sparks. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen. But
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's a sweet little movie. It's not gonna reinvent the wheel, but it was a nice little date night watch. But
Mhm.
all right, John, we're going back around the horn. What do you got?
All right, I got Beetlejuice, or I say two, but so this is the sequel to the original. How many years later I don't even know because I don't know when that first one came out. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna split it into the good and the bad for this one.
Okay.
The good, they did a lot of practical effects, akin to the first movie. I thought that was great. I kind of don't get why more people don't do practical effects. I mean, I do know because it's money, but it would be nice to see more practical effects done these days. And I mean, you can see the sandworm comes back, and I think it's done almost in the same style as they originally did. There's a lot of practical effects with,
Oh, that was my
Yeah.
Dune. Sorry, I had
Yeah,
to
it's
jump
all right.
in. Is it that sandworm? It's from WB.
I made the same joke while I was
Oh,
watching it.
sorry. I interrupted. I interrupted.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All the people in the afterlife with their various causes of death, a lot of that was done practically. It was very well done. The music was great. I think they really did a good job with that. I think Michael Keaton's performance was very nice. I enjoyed that. It's very, very it hand shook well with the first one, so it wasn't like it was different. I mean, obviously it's the same, same person, but all that. The bad things, I didn't get super invested in the story. I think some of the characters, like the now grandmother, I guess, or the fiance, were just kind of like, they're supposed to be like bad people, not evil, but just like a bad person, and they were just more annoying than anything, to be honest. The plot was okay, but it felt pretty short. It felt like they had to kind of set up a lot to get to it, and then once we got to it, it was just kind of like done in like 20-30 minutes. Like, I mean, obviously it's a movie, so you're limited, but like it just felt like there was a lot of setup, and then it was just like, ooh, we're going to the end. And I guess the whole thing, it was all right. I don't know if I would really recommend it unless you absolutely love the first one. It probably makes a good companion if you watch the first one every year for Halloween, and maybe see this once and be like, all right, well, I'm glad I saw it, and I'll stick to the first one from now on. I think I watched it with somebody. I think after we were done, I said it gets a meh plus out of 10. You know what I mean? So it was just like, all right, it was okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard similar things, but like one of the main things people love about this, is the practical effects of it all, like how it feels real, and it adds so much to it, because they could have really gone nuts with the CGI, with the underworld and all of Beetlejuice's things going on. Like, it could have been really over the top. So thankfully, I mean, look at the Willy Wonka that Tim Burton did direct. Like, it's just, so that's good. And you never know with these like legacy sequels being, like the Dumb and Dumber 2 and like the Anchorman 2 and Zoolander 2, all these ones that are like, there's lightning in the bottle. It's like, okay, let's do it again 20, 30 years later. It just doesn't usually translate. But yeah, I mean, there's seemingly things to like about this. I enjoy Beetlejuice when I do see it. It's not like one of my favorites, but it seems to have connected really well, like with a lot of folks. This was the WB sequel that actually has been a box office success for them this fall. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it's on my list, and when it comes to streaming, I'll probably put it on. But like, I'm not rushing out for this one. Are you a Beetlejuice fan, Kyle?
I just saw the first one maybe 5 years ago. And I actually really, really enjoyed it then. But I wasn't gonna, I mean, it took me that long to see the first one. I wasn't gonna run out for this one. I'll wait till it hits streaming. But I really enjoyed the first one. Because a lot of times when you hear about like old school movies, or like, oh, this is like a cult classic, like you're like, okay. But it was very good. I liked it a lot.
I feel like a lot of it's with Michael Keaton and his performance. And I think I read something where it's like he's actually only in like Beetlejuice, like the original, like 17 minutes or something crazy. Like, it's like a very small amount when you actually like tally it
It's
up.
so distilled though. It's like, it's perfect,
And that's what's so great about it. Like, is he, I guess in this second one, John, is it like too much Beetlejuice, or is it like there's a good amount that like he doesn't overstay his welcome kind of thing?
There's more of it. I think particularly at the end, he's in it a lot, and I think at that point it kind of starts getting a little. I mean, again, I don't want to spoil it, but like in the same, there was a song in the first one that's a big like titular moment. There's kind of that in this one too, but I was kind of just sitting there being like, all right, nothing's happening during the song. Can we finish the song so we can get to the rest of the plot? Whereas I felt like in the first one, the song kind of was moving the plot a little bit. So, I think maybe there was a little bit more of him than we needed, but I don't think it got to the point where it was like, I wasn't sitting there being like, all right, get on with it. But at the same time, I wasn't sitting there being like, oh, this is the plot. Like, I was just kind of like, all right, it's happening. Let's, we'll finish it, get through it, and then we'll move on to the rest of it. So, I think where the first one has some rewatchability, and it seems like people like to rewatch it, revisit it once in a while, I don't know if this will have that same effect. I mean, maybe if you're a diehard Beetlejuice fan and you enjoyed it and wanted to watch the second one, again, maybe, but I think you'd be more likely to watch the first one than watch this again,
Yeah, I get you. All right. Kyle, what do you got? You got another movie.
Yeah. So I watched Didi. It's like a coming of age story for I believe a Taiwanese child, first generation child in America with his family. And it was good. It was good. I think for like other people, this might be their coming, like people watching movies now, maybe a little bit younger. This might be something they can really, really relate to. For me, it just felt like it kind of borrowed from so many other films that it almost felt like those other movies, like Jonah Hill's like mid-90s, I think, and some other coming of age movies that we watched when we were younger. But you just see Didi, Chris is the character's name, but he just battles kind of being Asian in America, and he's confronting those challenges when he's younger, and like he wants to feel more like anything but being Asian in certain circles. And you see this nostalgic piece where he's like using AIM chat and MySpace and the start of the YouTube generation. And he's like trying to manipulate his way onto there, or like try and put videos up and to become popular. And he just gets into these circumstances that make you like shake your head and then like cringe at times. You're like, oh, dude, why are you doing that, man? But those moments are good for the movie, but overall, I thought it was okay. It was okay. But
like I know it's not probably as comedic, but little Pen 15, the nostalgia,
yeah,
AIM, and like the cringe, and
yeah, it did have those moments, but it had some definitely dramatic moments, especially the challenges that he faced with his family and his sister. It just felt like he was battling these things inside because he didn't know how to kind of reconcile them. But I think he's starting to realize what happens by the end of the movie. But we still, at the end of the movie, he's still a young teenage kid. Like he hasn't really grown that much. So it almost feels like an abrupt ending because I don't really feel like he's made this massive transformation in realizing like who he can become. I guess it's more just of like, oh, that's one step in his growth kind of thing. Does that make sense?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But overall, it was an interesting watch. It was okay. I just give it an okay.
And we gotta work on this scale. We got an okay and a like meh plus and
plus. But the thing is that scale works because I
Yeah.
feel like I get it.
But how do you log that on Letterboxd?
It's
They don't
different for
have-
everybody.
Okay.
It was like a 3, I think.
Okay. All right. All right. So I don't need to log this on Letterboxd because my next quick check is not a movie. It wasn't a recent movie. It wasn't a recent show.
Yeah.
We're going back. We're going way back. We're back, baby. We're talking about Frasier. The
I feel like we
original.
need the stinger.
Yeah.
Oh baby, I hear them blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled egg.
Mercy. Seem a bit confused, but maybe this show I really enjoy. This really was like my new comfort show, and I'm really sad that my watch of it's like 11 seasons, 264 episodes is over. It's been a long time, but this last bit we were really watching them really quite frequently, and it's just such a smartly written show. It's like this elevated sitcom with really great farce. Like it really is
Mm.
like a true situational comedy. Like, it's just, and you have a great cast of performances. You got the five actors on the screen there, but specifically, of course, I think everyone's favorite, the MVP, I think, David Hyde Pierce as
Mm.
Niles. And it's like you can really see in the show how they see what they have in David Hyde Pierce and the shift in focus and screen time to Niles throughout the show and getting more and more. And there's points where it's like almost becomes like Niles' show, and then it's like,
Mm.
what his relationship, obviously, this will they, won't they with Daphne, and just like the him being the brother to Frasier. Like there's so much tied with his character. And yeah, definitely my favorite to watch. But as much as I love that, probably the worst arc in the entire 11 seasons is anything I think with like Daphne's family, that came over
Oh
and like will stay with
God.
them. That there's a brother that stayed way too long. And then the mom also stayed for, I feel like it was like a solid season or two. And it's like we get it. You want to show the differences between them, like this
Mm.
uppity, like upper class, fancy type thing versus the football loving, just beer drinking, whatever. It's just like we get it, and becomes very grating after a while. It just becomes like, okay, you guys are smarter than this. Like
Yeah.
I've seen you be smarter than this. Let's move on from that. And um, I don't know. So overall, I mean, if you need something just, to have,
Mm.
something nice and comforting, that reliable, there's so much to watch. I would
Yeah.
definitely recommend Frasier. I liked it so much that I'm even trying the reboot that's now on Paramount Plus.
Oh my God, you went
Yeah,
that far,
I went
huh?
that far. All first seasons have issues. I mean, like that's what we talk about all the time. It takes a while to get its groove. Parks and Rec, The Office, and I feel like this is harder too because back in the day, all these shows would have, Seinfeld. You have like, a while to get going. Maybe they'll
Mm.
figure it out by season two, but like season two is like back in the day, it's like, oh, that's 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Now it's like 10 episodes for these seasons. So it's like,
Mm.
it's like they're in season two now. I'm only three or four into season one. It's not, there's something comforting about it, but it's also like not the same show at all.
Mm.
It's like Frasier's probably my third or fourth favorite character on Frasier. But like, like of the original, like I'd rather have a David Hyde Pierce show, but he's not in this. It's like he didn't come back for this because he didn't want to touch this. He loves
Yeah.
the original so much. And you could see they're straining when they're trying to duplicate things. Like Niles' son, spoiler, I guess, for the original Frasier, is a character in this reboot. But he's like a minier, geekier version of Niles. And it just feels like a very like, oh, that's easy. That's an
Yeah.
easy
Yeah.
what you're trying to do here. And the hardest thing for me to get over with this reboot is what they did with Freddie, which is Frasier's son. So we see him a lot through the original Frasier. He's a mini Frasier. He, loves chess camp and excelling and spelling bees and all that stuff. And in this version, he's a firefighter. And it's
Mm.
like, sure, people can rebel and change, but it feels like you just want the dynamic of this blue collar, white collar thing that you had with the father, Martin, the cop in Frasier.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want that again. And now you're flipping it. And I just don't fully buy him. Sure, he might have rebelled over many years of this pressure between both of his parents, but like he still went to Harvard, and then he dropped out of Harvard in the last few years to become a
Mm.
fire. Like it's just, I need more info on this. Like
Yeah.
I need him to pretty much just say like, I wouldn't be able to match you guys. Like I felt like so inadequate, and I just want to help people. Like I always loved what Grandpa did, like being a cop. Like
Yeah.
I need something like that because right now I don't buy it. It's just like you want this two worlds against each other type thing.
Yeah, you want it for the comedy.
So I'm gonna give it some. I've heard like the season 2, if it finds its footing a bit, becomes more classic Frasier. There's a lot of, people coming back in season 2 and some additions and stuff like that. So I'll keep with it. There's not that many episodes. After doing 164, I can do like 15 whatever episodes of the new Frasier. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, something that always bothered me about Frasier is the dad and Frasier were like look like they could be the same age when they were younger. You know what I mean? I looked this up because I was like, his dad is not that much older. It was like, I think it was like 15, 16 years or something like that between Frasier's age on the show and his age.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things. A lot of these like old shows, it's like you can't cast a really old person because like they got to be spry. They got to be able to put in all these 164 episodes of a weekly show with the studio lights and stuff. So, because like, I don't know, but yeah, oh man, I do miss Niles though. I miss Niles, but I don't know what's gonna take for him to get back, especially, I don't know. That's a conversation for. I think you guys know what I'm saying, so we'll leave it there.
I don't know if I do.
Let's just say I don't know if Kelsey Grammer is
Oh yeah, okay. Now I got
the
you.
right person that any of us would want to hang out with.
I got you. I got you. I got what you're putting down. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, that's it. That's all we got for quick checks. That's all we got for this week's episode. Let's see here. Coming up in the next, maybe month or so, we got some big stuff. We got Dune Prophecy on Max. Maybe we'll check out the Dune TV show, and then Gladiator 2. We'll get our popcorn buckets and check out Gladiator 2. Plus, well, what do we got?
Oh, I was gonna say we got our Dune bucket and our Gladiator bucket.
Perfect. What are we gonna do to combine those? And maybe we'll throw in a holiday movie if we have the energy. We'll see. It's a tradition. We'll see if we can squeeze one in. But I mentioned the holidays. They're coming up. Little plug for our Dual Redundancy merch if you want to get a gift for you or a loved one. Got some hats, shirts, some mugs, stickers, stuff like that in the Dual Redundancy merch store, which is hosted by Gearomatic. I know we have the link in our Linktree page, which is on all of our social media and show notes. But John, do you happen to remember, at the very least, how do they get to your store? And then I think they find it through there.
Let me hang on. Right. I think I remember the URL.
While you're doing that, I will plug. Make sure you're watching YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doredundancy.com, Twitch, twitch.tv/doredundancy. We're live there. We got some great chatters tonight. Seneca _TTV. I thought We're Duckies in there as well. We stream live on both YouTube and Twitch, so definitely check that out. John, where's the link?
I did remember. It's bit.ly/DR merch, but all capitals.
Yeah, the DR merch is all capitals. And make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. I'm sure I'll tweet out the link at some point as well. That's it. That's all we got. I want to thank both you guys for joining us tonight. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. You're always joining us. I'm out of it. It's been a long show. And I'm a little rusty as well. But I got to thank both you guys for doing the show tonight, watching what you did, John, directing the show, getting it up on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. I couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm Joe Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.